Hey guys, welcome to Popcorn and Gore Gothic Grindhouse Cinema. Showing you some of my features that I have for my favorite 31 Days of Halloween lineup. We're going to start off with some classic cinema from Universal, of course. We're going to start off with Classic Monsters, Universal Collection. Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, and our Bowl of Claws as the Mummy, and Dracula's Daughter, my all-time favorite. So I always run these lineups. So this is going to be my lineup that I'm pretty much running for my 31 days. Oktoberfest. That's what I call it. And next up, we got the complete Legacy collection of Dracula. Of course, I got this because of my favorite Bela Lugosi on the front cover. Awesome collection for my 31 days of Oktoberfest. Sunny Wheel lineup. It's part of my Vampire series collection. Next up, we have Castle of Blood, Barbara Steele. Another one of my classics. Inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, written. Love his work. And I'm a huge fan of Barbara Steele. So this is going to be my Vampire collection for my 31 days of Halloween lineup. Oktoberfest. Next up we have the Blancheville Monster. Featuring the gorgeous and talented Helga line. Then we have next up Terror Creatures from the Grave, Barbara Steele. One of my favorites in my collection. I always bring out Barbara Steele every year anyway. I have a tribute to her where I do a lineup and I just run all her movies from beginning to end. And then I'll move over to Jane Rowland's films. Starting off, this is my featured lineup. Thank y'all guys for checking out my channel and liking all of what I do. And I'm having pretty much tons of fun going through my collection and pulling out some favorite features, because this is the favorite time of year that I like to get all movied out and sit back and watch some of my greats on film. We have Terror Creatures from the Grave, Barbara Steele, out of our feature collection of my 31 days of Oktoberfest. Drive-by wheel session. Of course, you can't have Barbara Steele collection without having the ghosts. This is part of my 31 days Oktoberfest. Watch out for Vampire series. I did a tribute to also of her with I think it was Terror Creatures from the Grave, and another one that I was lined up to also was my favorite feature too also. Mask of Satan, that's what it was. I had that hooked up with that as a double feature wheel. You guys, y'all know from my channel, I always like double feature wheels. And double feature wheels are some of the ones that I have out of my favorite lineup that I kind of put together to make a ultimate wheel and just sit back and watch, just like the old time driving. The Ghost, Barbara Steele. Next up, Castle of Blood. One of my favorites too also. Gotta have this in your list. Kill me. Kill both of us. I like this movie. That was pretty badass. And she refused to just do what she wanted to do, and she played this miserable character as Muriel, and she actually doubled herself too also. She played twice as the ghost, and she played the one as when she resurrects herself from the curse, and then goes back to seek revenge on her transitioned ex-boyfriend. and end up chained to death with the newfound gardener, which is the one you see featured on the box set with her chained up so eloquently by Barbara Steele's Gothic cinema. Here on this channel, I like a lot of Gothic stuff, a lot of Italian stuff, and I pretty much have a lot of this stuff. Nightmare Castle, Barbara Steele. And also another one that I made too also. I'm working on getting another cover of it. But anyway, Metamorphosis was also a good one too. Also, you guys got to check this out. Beautifully done. And I like the storyline too also on it. It's one of those ones you can see watching 2 or 3 times. So you guys got to check it out. Metamorphosis. For my 31 Days of Oktoberfest lineup. Metamorphosis. And also, no, Halloween's not complete unless you go into a different stash and pull out Night of the Demons. One of my favorite ones that I always pull out to each year. And I usually start this whole featured off with Night of the Demons. For my 31 days. And then I also have Night of the Demons 2 also, too, that I start off with too also, which is pretty cool. And just on the party, of course. My 31 days lineup. So normally I would just run both of the 2 for my 31 days. All right, next up we're going to get into some of the classics too also. The Old Dark House, which is another one of my favorites. I'm a huge fan of James Whale, so this is a feature for me. I like this one. This is a Region 2, of course, but I had to have it, and I usually run this for my 31 days. So we have The Old Dark House, James Whale production. I usually start off like a little bit of like the classics first, and then I weave my way up into the early 70s and the 80s, and I work my way up. But I always start off with the classics first. It's a fitting way to do it. Let me show a little bit of the backstage artwork on The Old Dark House, and some featured photos from this still shot, and some posted artwork from The Old Dark House. One of my favorite features. So we have the major characters on the front too also. It's my 31 day. Watch out for vampire series. Some beautifully done artwork. This Boris Karloff again. One of my favorites. You can't show the whole collection without showing somebody artwork on it. I love that shot. But my favorite shot's coming up, which is my ultimate. That's my favorite shot right here. I like the way she's hanging on that little corner there, and she's just awaiting the whole drama to unfold. I thought it was like really, really badass. And she definitely made it for my 31 days. And I like it when he came to the door too. Also, was pretty badass. It's beautifully done, this booklet. So I get some of the glare off. But each year I run this series of classic Gothic horror, and I have this thing where you kind of watch out for vampires. And there's the whole cast. Missing one of them, of course, because this is an actually scene photo taken. That's beautifully done too also. There's more of the beautiful artwork. Beautifully done. Some of the poster bills too also, which was pretty badass. Beautifully done. Now we're moving on to the second. My next up for my 31 days would be Vampires, of course, which is another one of my favorites. These women end up beside the road, always picking up hitchhikers, and they take them out. So you can't have a ultimate vampire flick without having Vampires as your classic. Beautifully done. Vampires. So next up we have Gene Rollins to also film, because this is what started my whole vampire series of Oktoberfest off, with Gene Rollins features. Requiem for a Vampire. It's beautifully done by Redemption, and beautifully directed and shot by the talented Gene Rollins. This is some of the Gene Rollins artwork book that I do have too also, which is pretty cool. And I just want to go over briefly of that. Showcasing some of Gene Rollins artwork and cinema and booklet form. I'm a huge fan of Gene Rollins. I'll be getting Lips of Blood too also, because that's the only one I don't have. I do have Fascination, I do have The Grapes of Death, and I do also have the rest of them that kind of go with this particular collection. But The Living Dead Girl is on my list. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Gene Rollins. Now we have, next up, we have more of Gene Rollins' work too. Also, we have Shiver of a Vampire, which is another one of my favorites of my 31-day lineup. And it's also a classic in my 31-day lineup. And I love the set. It's pretty badass. Gene Rollins for my 31-day lineup. For my vampire series. And next up we have Terror, which is another one too. Also, I had featured this too also on my last wheel. This is pretty cool. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but you got to definitely check this out. It's like horror beyond belief, and the staging is beautifully done, and the acting is just off the top. So you guys got to check this out. Terror. Beautifully done. All right, so next up we have Blackenstein, which is another one of my favorites too. I also run this with a couple of other ones that I do have featured that I did on my last featured wheel. I had Atomic Age Vampire, Blood of Dracula's Castle. I mean, just like all of them pretty much. So I'm breaking this down into wheels going then into my 31 days, because I have such a huge lineup. So I'm just doing multiple takes of different lineups that I do have that are not accompanied by double building. So, but if I did, this one would be double billed with Scream Blacklist Scream. And then as the other Gene Roland film, Shiver Vampire, I will have that hooked up with Kill Baby Kill. Another classic. Beautifully done by Severin. And the transfer is always good. I like Severin, and I like the other one who puts out media too also. They kind of the only ones that I normally order from, Severin and Vinegar Syndrome. So they are like the best two. I do order from others too, but those two are my go-tos when it comes to collecting. Also got to have this, Bram Stoker's. One of my favorites too also. Got to have it. All right, so next I'm getting into my double billing. So we have Carnival of Blood and The Undertaker and His Pals, a gruesome beyond belief double grindhouse shock show, and it's like the ultimate. So you gotta have this too also in your collection too. My 31-day lineup. And also with that feature, I also run Malatesta's Carnival of Blood too, also with that on that same program. Another one of my favorite features for my 31-day Oktoberfest. And here's what they will look like. Well, what they would look like as a double bill. Not bad, huh? And next up, we have the Corpse Grinders, which is another one of my favorites. I do have Corpse Grinders too also, but this one is pretty much my go-to. So cannot have it without having it at all. So Corpse Grinders. All right, so here's that double Corpse Grinders 1 and 2 as my ultimate collection wheel for my 31-day lineup. Beautifully done by Ted V. Michaels, which is another one of my favorite directors. Then we also have Night of the Lepus. Always running this too also. Another one of my favorites. Plus I love the rabbits, and plus the way the sequence is just like, it's really badass to see them running through the damn town like that. I was loving it. And then when the rabbit tore the hell out of the guy at the truck, that was the ultimate too, because his leg and everything was down. You could tell they kind of cut in between two scenes, but they made this movie work, even though a lot of people kind of hated it, but I actually loved it. Night of the Lepus, Stuart Whitman, Janet Leigh, and Reed Calhoun. That's my favorite. Night of the Lepus, baby. And also on that same program, I have Slithers. Hell Hath No Fury Like Slithers. So I actually doubled them up as a double feature with Night of the Lepus. So this will be my double feature wheel. So those are the two that I have for that I run for my double feature wheel. So I'm doing doubles on this particular session of my Vampire series. It also branches out into other cult horror too also. Then we also have horror, Don't Watch Alone, 15 film set which is also another one of my favorites too also. Here's what's on the back of it. Night of the Living Dead, House on Haunted Hill, Carnival of Souls, I Buried the Living, Blood Tide, Fangs of the Living Dead, Bloody Pit of Horror, The Undertaker and His Pals, Nightmare Castle, Dementia 13, Count Dracula and His Vampire Brides, and Last Man on Earth, The Picks, Dominique is Dead, and The Ghosts. So this is like mostly what I have for the 15 film Don't Watch Alone set. And I do have it hooked up with the rest. And here's the 12 Film Fest. Flesh Feast, Zombies Unbrained, which is another one of my favorites too also. And this is what's on it. You gotta have this in your collection if you're gonna do a 31 day. And I have another one, Night of Horror, Don't Watch Alone, 15 set again, too also. And here's what's on it. Night of the Blood Beast, Night Fright, She Beast, Last Woman on Earth, Horror Express, Die Sister Die, Good vs. Evil, Invasion of the B-Girls, starring the talented and gorgeous. And we have Cat o' Nine Tails, Massacre Valley, Memorial Valley Massacre, Messiah of Evil. And we have Snake People, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, which is also one of my favorites. The Terror, and They Came From Beyond Space. But Invasion of the B-Girls was also my favorite. I had that hooked up with another featurette because it was one of my all-time favorites too. And then last but not least, we have 10 movie horror collection. And this is what we have for the entire collection on this particular one. So all this will be one gigantic wheel that I run pretty much. And it'll be like let me get it together, show y'all guys. It'll be like this for one big wheel. One big wheel. So all these will pretty much run as one big wheel. As titles. So all these will be one big wheel that will pretty much run for my 31 day. Not bad. Next up, we would have Cannibal Girls, which is another one of my favorites, starring the talented Jean Levy. It's beautifully done too also. One of my ultimates. And this will also be a double feature I have connected to also. And this is what it will be connected with. Messiah of Evil. It also has Sisters of Death too also. So normally I would run this with Invasion of the B-Girls also. But as of lately, I've been doubling it up with Cannibal Girls. As a double feature for my 31 day. Then another one of my features, I would run Blood Orgy of the She-Devils, another one of my Ted V. Michaels collection. But I would have this with the Corpse Grinders, of course, and also another one that I would have it too, the Undertaker and his pals, and along with Carnival of Blood. All this would be on the same package. So it's briefly done by Ted V. Michaels. I'll show you what that double package would be like. So that's what that double wheel would look like. This will be the ultimate double wheel that I would run for my 31 day. Ultimate badass wheel right here. And then also as a featured wheel, I would run the whole wheel mega set for my 31 day also, because this is the second way I could run the wheel, and I'll just do them all as a big feature for my 31 day. Nice titles, huh? Already done up. Yep, my 31 day. And then I would have Gorehouse Greatest Hits 2 also lined up. Trip with a Teacher, Blood of Dracula's Castle, Primeval, Devil's Hand, Tormented, and Terror, and Blood Manor, Madmen of Wando, and Stanley, and Satan's Slave. So we're moving on to our second volume of our 31 day. And I know 31 days is not complete unless you have the Monsters complete first season. You gotta have it too also, beautifully done. So I normally have this running while I'm pretty much decorating. That's my 31 day. And I also have season 2 of the Monsters. My 31 day Oktoberfest. I also have portrait, family portrait 2 also on the Monsters. And this is what that collection would look like as the whole entire wheel. If I was to run the whole entire wheel. Yep. No Halloween's complete without the monster. It's beautifully done. Then we also have Addams Family Values. This will be the complete. And then we run this too also while I'm decorating, right behind the Munsters. Yep. Next up, we have collection 22 of Dark Shadows. Beautifully done also. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I remember when this show first aired, the pilot came out, and I wasn't born yet, of course, but I remember a lot of my folks talking about it, and I kind of was like, let me check the show out. I kind of grew up watching it, as I grew up in the 70s. It's got collection 22, Dark Shadows. And we have collection 23. Julius returns to the year 1895 to find out what went wrong in the old house, to try to see if they could stop it, those series of events from happening. And she's joined by the beautiful Caroline and the rest of the cast too also. Collection 14, Dark Shadows. There's Gerard Stiles on the back. That son of a bitch. He's an evil motherfucker, this guy here. And these are some of the fan favorites from the show, handpicked from the show, actually. They have different episodes for those who don't know particularly about Dark Shadows and want to kind of get into it as a Dwarf. You can kind of get into this, and I got different various scenes, episodes from this series in this one, so you can kind of catch up or just find out what's going on about the show. It's fan favorites. Dark Shadows from the greatest collection. And the Best of Barnabas collection. So this will be the one I would run for my 31 day. The entire collection also. My warning, watch out for vampires. And my whole entire selection that I normally run every year, my Dark Shadows collection. Just a few out of the series. Each year I kind of like pull out some of my favorites out of the coffin and I run them. So these will be my coffin picks from my Dark Shadows collection. My favorite review. All right, guys. Thank y'all for checking out my review for my Popcorn and Gore Gothic Grindhouse Oktoberfest wheel. And this will be my double featured wheel of the stuff that I do have that I pretty much run up front. And these features are the ones that I normally run for my first lineup. And these already are running now as we speak. Carnival of Blood ran last night, along with that double feature Undertaker and his pals. But I had it with this same feature right here. So this is what this feature right here is what kind of ran as that featured wheel. So I want to thank y'all guys for checking me out and liking what I do. And don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed to my channel. And give me some likes, and feel free to leave me some comments on the movies that you like too also. And feel free to watch the rest of my videos of my tour collection of my Gothic cinema and my Gothic and horror collection and exploitation films from the 70s and 80s. So thank y'all guys for always checking me out and liking what I do. And I'll have more features coming up soon. So thank you. And don't forget to click that like button and subscribe, and let me know that I'm pretty much doing something right. And as always, guys, watch out for vampires.